Hello, amazing trailblazers. I'm so excited to come at you with another free training here at Women on the Rise and the Institute for Female Trailblazers. So, my name is Leanne. For all of you newcomers, I'm so happy to be here with you. I am a women's empowerment coach, a licensed psychotherapist of 20 years, and I am here to help guide you towards living in clarity of your life purpose and in alignment of your biggest life purpose, your biggest life vision. I recently had somebody ask, like, what does a trailblazer mean anyways? What is a trailblazer? So, I actually have I have a training on this. So if you're interested in that training, please reach out to me. You can direct message me wherever you are. It's Institute for Female Trailblazers. So find me and definitely message me for this training. But it's like 5 ways to know that you're a trailblazer in hiding, because many of us don't know. I did not know that. I just knew that I didn't really feel like I fit in anywhere. And I had these big visions, big dreams. And I was afraid because, again, coming from as a licensed psychotherapist, the trainings of licensed psychotherapists, I'm like, am I a narcissist? Because I do have these grandiose ideations. So I thought that there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't just be okay in corporate America and climbing the corporate ladder, which I did. And I still felt myself feeling unfulfilled, right? There was something missing. There was just something like I'm supposed to be doing more. It's time to find something that's more fulfilling. And there were moments throughout my career that I did feel fulfilled, but I just knew that there was something more. So again, if you want some more information on like whether or not you can identify as a trailblazer, what is a trailblazer? It's somebody who has a big vision, has a big dream, wants to make big changes in the world. And by big, I mean, it could be changing like mine started with wanting my daughter to know that she is capable of whatever it is that she dreams. If it's a dream that she has, it's there for a purpose and to follow that, right? So that was my initial, but I knew that I wanted to do healing on mass levels globally. And that's what I get to do today. So just came back from leading a retreat where it was international. People were coming in from all different areas of the United States and beyond. So it's possible. And that's what I wanted my daughter to know. And I knew that there was just something more for me. So if you have that sort of inkling, it's like, could be like a nagging within your soul, but you're just feeling like you're lost and you're not sure, like, why can't I just be happy? Then reach out to me. That's what we're here for. Myself, Renee, she is your success advisor. We're here to support you and to guide you and help you with that clarity and the next steps. So, little tidbit of information of what a trailblazer is. What we're here to talk about actually is the 5 tips, right? 5 tips and tricks to embrace your personal power and your confidence as a trailblazer. And I have even, done a training about legacy confidence and what that means. So if you are like the other 75% of women, of professional women, feeling imposter syndrome, then I want to let you know that you're not alone. And this is why this is a really popular topic. A lot of people are reaching out, asking for the handout. So if you don't have the handout, please put that in the comments below, put handout, please, and we'll be sure to get that over to you. Renee will actually direct message you and send that right to your inbox so that you can have it. And for all of my free trainings, we always have a handout. So 75% of women have identified that they feel imposter syndrome at some point in their career. And I want to sort of put this in relation to men. There's 24% identify that they have felt imposter syndrome at some time in their career. That's a huge difference. That's a vast difference between males and females. So what is it that we need to do? What awareness do we need to embrace that to help us gain, like, fully understand our personal power, first of all, right? See ourselves clearly, and then embrace that and embody that confidence, right? I have a coach that I work with, and she's, her whole premise is owning the room, right? You walk in and you own that room because of the confidence that you exude, because you know that you're meant to be in that room. So you can check her out. It's Elevate You Coaching. So it's being able to really embody this confidence. There's so many different ways, you hear fake it till you make it. Amy Cuddy, who I reference all the time about this because she talks about posture and how we're meant to take up space. She says fake it till you believe it, because what we're believing about ourselves isn't factual, right? We tell ourselves that we're not smart enough, or we're not good enough, or we don't know enough, or I just need another certification or another training to be good enough. And that is, what we've been conditioned to believe. So, and men have been conditioned differently. So being able to really just embrace that and recognize that this is something that so many of us women struggle with, and every single day we are moving forwards, at least in the realms that I live in and work in, we are moving further and further away from this and further towards the truth of how powerful we truly are, and how to embrace that and see that clearly and step forward every single day within that confidence. So how does that sound? Does that sound good? Put a yes in the comments. If you're here for it, put here for it. I am here for it. I am here to release some of this old conditioning, all of the old conditioning, hopefully, and really be able to see myself clearly in all of the gifts that I have to offer, and stand in those gifts and stand strong in my truth, right? In my journey and in my gifts and what I do know. And I'm not saying that we're going to know everything. We're not meant to know everything. We are meant to know what our capacity is, what our genius zone is. And if you have any questions about genius zone, again, reach out to myself or Renee. Pretty sure I have a training on that. And to know what our gifts are so that we can stand in those. And when we are aligned with that, that's where our power comes from. Okay. So let's dive into it. Again, if you're here for it, put here for it. I'm here for it. We want to know that you are all in, right? And because that's how we approach it. We're all in supporting you and making sure that you have that clarity and you have that guidance to get you to that next level. So, what does it mean to embrace your personal power? Anybody, right? Anybody know? Like, what does it mean? What does it feel like? You might hear this like, oh, embrace your personal power, confidence, right? But what does that really mean? And I've tapped into that already. It's recognizing and tapping into your inner strength, your self-worth, and your capabilities of achieving your goals, making decisions, and navigating life with confidence and assertiveness. But it's all within. I am simply a guide to bring you back to yourself. That is what I do, right? To help you see yourself clearly, knowing your worth, right? This is all part of my coaching program and Legacy Foundations, is that we really dive into, we heal those conditions, the fears and the doubts, right? We really do some deep healing, which I'm able to do because I have all the tools and I have the personal experience of it as well, of going through and healing myself and healing others as a therapist. So really clearing all of the clutter in your mind of doubt and fear and anger maybe towards yourself. So past hurts, right? That's what we're looking at, as past hurts. Clearing all of that, right? And then being able, and that helps you to see yourself clearly. It helps you to shine a light on all that is already there, all of your gifts, right? And we really dive into that self-worth and self-love, and being able to know that you are capable. You just have to believe it and bring it forward, right? And really align with that every single day. That commitment to yourself, to living in that higher version and highest vision of yourself, is that embracing your personal power and stepping into it, right? It's about recognizing your inherent worth, your potential, right? Believing in yourself, taking actions that align with that empowerment, right? Speaking up for yourself, or, declaring what you are going to create for this year, or, declaring. I remember one of the women that have gone through my program, she was interviewing for, a couple different businesses, corporations. And this was the first time that she was capable of saying, this is what I'm worth. this is what I expect and this is what I want. And do you know what? I remember her face clearly. She was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. And she got it all. She got it all. And that's what I mean by really embracing your personal power and like showing up for yourself and speaking that, right? That's the action of it. You have to take actions, but we work it from the inside out, right? So taking actions that allow you to live a fulfilling and empowered life. It's really a journey, embracing your personal power is a journey of self-discovery, of personal growth, and it leads to enhanced happiness, success, and satisfaction in all areas of your life. So who wants that? Put a yes in the comments. Do you want more happiness? Do you want more success? Do you want more satisfaction in every dimension of your life? Put a yes in the comments. We are owning that. That is what we're here for. All right. So when we're looking at this, what are 3 key aspects of what it means to embrace or align with your personal power and your confidence? So these 3 key aspects necessary to actually enhance this, to create that confidence that you're looking for. And this confidence doesn't come from any kind of external validation. It all comes from within, all of it. So the first key aspect is self-awareness. It's so important, like I said, and that's why we always start with healing past experiences that were, that created emotional turmoil. It's important to identify them so that we can heal them and move forward, right? But self-awareness of how you're talking to yourself, how your past is actually impacting your present and your ability to stand up or speak up for yourself, right? So, and being able to be, to bring that self-awareness, you can identify those things, but it also gives you that space to understand your strengths, to understand your weaknesses without feeling less than, right? I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at, right? I always say, I'm like, I don't do math. My brain does not math. Right? It's always been a weakness ever since I was young. I don't think that way. And that's okay. I can still do, right? I can still do my business. I can still run my business. I just have the extra support to math. Okay. So, but it doesn't make me less than. I used to believe when I was younger that it made me stupid. It made me less than, that I couldn't do budgets, that I couldn't do these things, right? I can do them, and I have somebody look over them as well, or I hire somebody out, right? So, so that's what it means to really become self-aware. Is we can look at our strengths, but we can also look at our weaknesses with love and compassion, and not attach that to our worth. Right? Who's with me? Put a yes in the comments. So, really understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your passions is a fundamental step to aligning with your personal power. It allows you to recognize your potential and the areas where you excel. It allows you to expand. It allows you to break free from the limiting beliefs of like, well, I can only do this, or I can do, I can't run a business. I'm not a business person. That's something that I used to tell myself. I don't know how to run a business. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to be successful. Whoa, 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 whoa. No. Finding like what my strength was, what my values, what my passions were, aligning all of that. And again, that's what I do in my coaching program, is bringing all that to light for you so that you are able to really excel into more fulfillment, right, in all areas of your life. The second key aspect to align with your personal power is that self-empowerment. Okay. So what do I mean by this? Yes, I'm your cheerleader. I will empower you. But what empowerment really means, and I don't know if if most people are aware of this, empowering yourself means taking responsibility for your choices and your actions, right? Rather than so a lot of times we can be in victim mode. Life is just circumstances happening to us, right? We feel like we're not being treated fairly. And it's their fault. It's society's fault that we are not able to move ahead. That's victim mentality. And if you have any questions about that, you can hop over to Sit Crooked Talk Straight. That's our podcast, mine and my friend Katie. She's also a licensed psychotherapist and coach. And we talk about this, moving from victim to empowerment, right? So self-empowerment really is about taking responsibility for all of your choices, all of your actions, regardless of, any external situations happening. Rather than just being a passive observer in your own life, you are actually taking charge of it. This is something that you can control. Okay. There's so many other things that we can't control. This is one that you can, right? It's about feeling in control and making decisions that align with your values and your desires every single day. And again, when we don't align with that, it's something to stay curious about and with compassion, right? Just like, that's interesting. I say that this is really important to me, but my behaviors don't really match that. What's going on, right? And recognizing that it's a choice that you're making. Everything is a choice, everything. You might not like the choices that you're given, but they're still choices. All right. So that self-empowerment is really taking responsibility. Who's ever shied away from taking responsibility? I know I have. I know for the majority of my life, I felt like a victim, right? I'm in this and I'm in that. Nobody understands me in this and that, whatever it is, right? It was always external blame. And I learned that from a very early age. Okay. So being able to take that responsibility for all of the choices that I made was sometimes very difficult, because then I am looking at myself saying, you actually made this, you're making this choice to stay in this relationship, or in this, in this job, or whatever it is, like you're making this choice. So what do I want to do about it? It's not their fault that I'm stuck in this job. I feel stuck in this job, whatever it is, right? Or this relationship, or so looking at that self-empowerment, how am I continuing unhealthy or unproductive patterns? Okay. The third key aspect of what it means to align with your personal power, embracing your confidence, is authenticity. This is so much about aligning with our authentic self, what we believe in, what we value, not what our family does. Sometimes they might match up that way, but like, what do we value, and not being ashamed of it. So many women are like, oh my gosh, like I really do value money. And sometimes there's a lot of shame around that. That's why I have the money mindset course that's starting on Monday. And if you're interested in that, please, let us know. We'll make sure that you're all set up to join us. But really, releasing any of the shame that we held about who we are. Right. So many of the women that I work with, and myself included, I was always told I was too loud. I remember being out, right, with my friends. And there was a moment where, I was going through this journey of really awakening myself and aligning with my authentic self, and not being ashamed of how loud or how excited or how passionate I get, or how much I use my hands. But I remember we were out, there was, I think 5 of us out at dinner. And I am very loud, and I just laughed really, really loud at something. And the table next to us, because it was a pretty tight place, just like looked at me and gave me the dirtiest look. And for a moment, I felt shit, like, oh my gosh, like I literally made myself smaller. And I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Like, no, this is who I am. And I remember saying this to the women at the table. I'm like, I feel like a lot of shame right now. They were like, and of course they're all therapists too. They're like, what is going on? So, but that's just one little tiny example of what could happen, like what happens and how we actually make ourselves smaller. And that does not align authentically. And that is why, and then we get into that victim stance, and then we make ourselves smaller, and then there's a lot of suffering there. So when we're looking at authenticity, embracing your personal power involves being true to yourself, regardless of what the responses are going to be, or how you think somebody is going to accept you or not accept you, or how it's going to disrupt, right, the flow of whatever's happening within your family or within yourself, right? So this is about not conforming to others' expectations or those societal pressures, right? Authenticity allows us to express our genuine thoughts and feelings and values without shame, right? Without making ourselves smaller. So when we are not aligned authentically, when we are not aligned with our authentic self, that's when a lot of suffering happens, because then we doubt ourselves, then we, depression, anxiety, this is what comes up as a result of not aligning authentically. Okay. So those are the three key aspects of embracing your personal power: self-awareness, self-empowerment, and authenticity. Which one of those do you want to focus on? Put it in the comments, right? Hold yourself to that. Just bringing it to the awareness of like, wow, I'm not really sure how often I am not aligned with my authentic self. So that brings you to the self-awareness. So giving yourself, 24 hours, or, I would say even a week of just checking in with yourself of like, how am I, like, am I aligning with my strengths? What are my strengths? Like, just giving yourself the space for that. We do this time tracking, during my program, that actually for a week, that's what we do. We check in with ourselves every 30 minutes. Where am I? Am I conditioned? Am I keeping myself small? Am I authentic? Right. And I have a whole list of how to identify that. So those are the three key aspects of embracing your personal power. So what are some of the consequences? I mentioned them in, like, when I was talking about not being authentic to yourself. So what are the consequences of not aligning with your personal power, of not seeing your worth, of not moving forward in confidence? The first consequence is we're really missing so many opportunities, right? When you think about, this is just one example of how we miss opportunities, is that there's studies done where they identify, again, men have a higher awareness. I don't know if it's an awareness or just like this confidence, right? Of just like, I can do this job. If they meet, 60% of the criteria, it might be actually lower, but 60% is standing out. If men are looking at this job offer, or posting or whatever, and they meet 60% of the criteria, they're like, oh my gosh, I got this. This is in the bag. I can totally do this. Women, if we don't meet 100% of the requirements, we don't even try, which hurts my heart. Because think about how many opportunities you have missed because of that, right? Without confidence, without that self-belief, you're going to hesitate to seize opportunities that come your way. You might say, I'm not ready, right? If somebody's coming in and they say, I want your business, I want your coaching, and you're like, you know what, I'm really not ready. I'm not ready for that. Get back to me in 2 months. Like, what is going to happen? What happens with that? That's a missed opportunity that we're seizing because of our own self-doubt, right? So we miss so many opportunities. It leads to missed chances for personal and professional growth, right? So just thinking about that, how many missed opportunities have you had? Put a ballpark in the comments. How many opportunities have you missed because of the fact that you were not confident in yourself? You were not able to align with your personal power and see yourself clearly. Like, oh my gosh, I can totally do this. Let's do it. Right? So there's missed opportunities. Another consequence of not aligning with your personal power and confidence is that you actually do have increased stress and anxiety. A lack of confidence can contribute to stress, anxiety. When you think about it, think about this. When you do not believe in yourself, what do we do? What does your mind do? And what do you start doing in the process of like, oh, I'm not, this isn't going to work out? What typically happens is that we worry excessively about every possible outcome. And then we start feeling overwhelmed by this. We start feeling overwhelmed by challenges. We start planning now, don't get me wrong. It's really important to have like backup plans and stuff like that. But this is a constant worry and a constant overwhelm of just like trying to make sure everything is going to, like, you can handle whatever comes at you, or like you're planning out, well, if this happens X, Y, Z, then I'll do this. But if this happens, blah, 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 blah. And that is because we don't trust in our ability to really know, again, that personal power that we hold, to adapt and to be flexible and to just, roll with what we have. So right, like to handle the plot twist or the pivot. That's, again, it leads to these increased anxiety, increased stress, and just trying to figure it all out. So the last consequence that I want to talk about is the unfulfilled potential. Ultimately, not embracing your personal power and confidence prevents you from reaching your full potential. You're going to hold yourself back. That goes right back to those missed opportunities. You have untapped talents, probably, and abilities that go unused, right? You're limiting your achievements and your overall life satisfaction. So that's a huge consequence. Again, that's why most women come to me. I'm feeling unfulfilled. That was my journey. I'm feeling unfulfilled. I feel like there's something more. There has to be something more, something that's more fulfilling. So being able to recognize that these are the consequences, and I bring them up just to bring them to the forefront of your mind of, like, when we are moving forward, we might have this fear that comes up. We're going to have this fear that comes up, and old belief systems will come up. So the importance of recognizing, like, I don't want to miss any more opportunities. I want to live a more freeing and flowing life with ease, less stress, less anxiety. And I want to fulfill my full potential, right? These are things to just keep in the forefront of your mind when shit's hitting the fan, or like when you're starting to doubt yourself, of like, no, this is where we're going. All right. So speaking of, what are 5 tips and tricks to help you align with your personal power and your confidence? So the first one I had mentioned before. Actually, let me stop here and go back. What is your biggest, like, with those 3 consequences? Which one are you most fearful of? Which one, like, are you most fearful of missed opportunities? Do you, want to relieve your anxiety and your stress? Do you want to live a life filled with your fullest potential, living and playing full out, right? What is it that you want? What is going to keep you aligned? What is going to keep you moving forward? Knowing that you're going to be seizing more opportunities, knowing that you're going to be living in less anxiety and stress, or knowing that you are going to live to your fullest potential? Put it in the comments, right? Know yourself. This is about self-awareness. And then when we put it down on paper, that just, again, it sort of anchors it, right? It anchors it into our mind. So, all right, so the 5 tricks and tips to help you align with your personal power and confidence. So looking at the first one, I had mentioned this before, is healing emotional wounds. If you're not in therapy, get in therapy. If you don't have a coach, get a coach. Being able to go through this process of healing emotional wounds. This refers to just addressing, resolving, and recovering from the emotional pain, trauma, or distress by past experiences. I know so many women have been like, why do I have to dredge up my past? Because your past is impacting you today, right? It's those beliefs that you developed in the past that are actually preventing you from seeing yourself clearly today. So that is why we do the deeper healing. That's why we heal those emotional wounds, right? They can manifest in so many forms of just fears, grief, low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, right? Difficulties having healthy relationships. This is what unhealed emotional wounds do to our presence. Okay, I have a whole blog about it. Again, you can check out my website, Institute for Female Trailblazers, and it's there. It's how is my past impacting my present, right? So that's the first tip that I'm going to give you. That is what I had to go through. That is what within my program as well, is to be able to identify and heal those wounds. The second trick or tip is that self-awareness, right? Understanding now that we've healed those past, emotional wounds, we can now see ourselves clearly. We can now dive into, what are my spiritual gifts? What is my genius zone? What is it that I am passionate about? How have I been holding back in those areas, right? What are my values? We can really assess this clearly once we've healed those emotional wounds. So you have a more what do I want to say? Accurate form of self-awareness once we heal those emotional wounds. It helps us, that self-awareness helps us to truly see our potential and areas where we can excel and just keep on going, and not in a conditioned way, not from external validation or anything like that. It's just like, this is what I am passionate about, and this is what I want to create in the world, right? So now that we have that self-awareness, we move into setting and achieving small goals. I identify them as small goals. They're going to be, they're going to feel big too, because it's just like changing patterns that you've been engaged in for decades. That is big shit. Okay. That's big stuff. Those are big shifts in your life, but they can look very small, of just like being kind to myself, right? Speaking to myself with love, right? They seem smaller, right? It's not this like, I'm gonna, change the world. It's, I'm changing from the inside out. So you're setting and achieving small goals. And this is what we do within my program too, where it's like, we're looking at these 90-day goals. I break it all up into quarters. And then it's, what are those monthly sprints that you want to get into, so that we can really, and ladies, I start everything with celebrations, because we do not celebrate enough. And that actually rewires our brain to do more, to stretch past our limits, to stretch past those fears and those limiting beliefs, when we celebrate all of the progress, everything, right? So that's the breaking down your larger goals into smaller, achievable tasks. By making them smaller, by setting and accomplishing these smaller goals, that's when your confidence starts building further and further, because you gain a sense of accomplishment and like your ability to actually do these things, right? So it might not be, I know that when I was reading and shifting my morning routine, it was the Millionaire Mindset. Hold on, the Miracle Morning Millionaires, right behind me. And it even talks about this. And think about atomic habits, think about habit stacking, everything that we talk about, everything that's in there. It talks about these smaller goals, right? When I wanted to shift from waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning and hitting the ground running to waking up at 5 o'clock and giving myself space, I did it in 15-minute increments. Okay. So that's where that's setting and achieving small goals. Each success, no matter how small, will boost our personal power. It'll boost our confidence, right? So that's number 3. 4, right? The fourth trick or tip to help you align with your personal power and your confidence is to embrace failure as a learning opportunity. This is a lot of rewiring, right? Because a lot of us fear failure. We want to succeed. We want to do these things, but we have to understand that failure is a natural part of growth and self-improvement. If we're not failing at something, this is going to sound weird, that means we're not trying. We're not pushing past our comfort zone. We are staying stagnant if we are not out there failing and trying. This is something that Sarah, oh my gosh, why can't I think of her name? The owner of Spanx. Oh my gosh, I just totally lost her last name. But she's sold Spanx, but so she recalls how her father they would come home and they would celebrate their failures, because that means that they were trying. Like they would come home and sit at the dinner table and be like, oh my gosh, Dad, you should have seen, I totally blew it on the trumpet. It was horrible, right? And they would make it more fun. And because again, they're out there trying different things. When we're not out there trying different things, again, we are staying too small. We are not going to push past our comfort zones, and we're not going to trust ourselves to be able to move past any kind of failures, or trust ourselves to take those intentional risks, right? So when we, instead of viewing failure as a setback, see it as a chance to learn and to grow stronger. When you adopt this mindset, and it's a daily, ritual, setbacks don't shake your confidence. It's just like, okay, well, that fucking didn't work. Let's see what works now, right? Let's try something new. Let's try something different. So it doesn't mean you're a failure. It's like, well, that didn't work the way that I wanted it to. What do I want to do differently next time, right? And this is going to build your resiliency in the face of any challenge that you have, right? So that's number 4. And the last one, always, right? Self-care and self-compassion. When we are moving through life, taking care of your physical and emotional well-being is crucial. It's crucial. Do you ever notice, like, when you don't sleep enough, or when you don't have enough, like when you're, some people call it hangry, right? When you're hungry and you just get angry, that's not taking care of yourself. And you have a less ability to see yourself clearly, or to act in accordance with your values, right? When we're sort of like not taking care of ourselves and we're not at our best. So making time for self-care activities that you enjoy, whether it's exercise or meditation or journaling or hobbies or spending time with your friends, right? Or loved ones. That's part of your self-care. I embed self-care into my schedule every single day. It's not just once a month. There might be bigger things that I do once a month, but every single day I am making sure to take care of myself. That's why I like waking up early, so that I can go to the gym, so that I can have my journaling time, so that I can start my day with gratitude and a clear mind, right? That's part of my self-care. And then family time is part of my self-care as well, right? And then I have Reiki, and then I have my therapy sessions, right? Like all of these things that I do for self-care is so imperative. And with compassion, we have this belief that is ingrained in us that, like, if we're good, if we're nice to ourselves in the face of failure, in the face of, not aligning with our values every single day or whatever, that, like, if we're critical with ourselves, that'll actually move us forward. How often has that actually happened where you didn't hold on to shame as you were moving forward, right? You are not going to, that's like trudging through mud or quicksand or whatever, right? Like, just thinking about that, of like, when we're critical of ourselves, like, oh gosh, I remember a good example, right? I remember this was in one of our podcast episodes where Katie was like, man, I used to be so mean to myself. Like, she was talking about her weight. And I know I was this way too. It's like, get up, you fat ass, like fucking do the thing. Like, stop stuffing your face with popcorn. Yeah, go ahead. Like, so many mean things that I would say to myself. And Katie, it just made me think of Katie too, because she'd be like, get up, fat ass. And that's how she would wake herself up. That creates less self-confidence, right? And more shame. So compassion, self-compassion. Kristin Neff, Neff, she is like the guru of self-compassion. She has a ton of research out there and books, and you can go to her selfcompassion.org, I believe it is, where she does talk about, like, in studies, how when we are more compassionate with ourselves, we actually move forward quicker. Okay, so those are the 5 tips and tricks to align with your personal power and confidence: healing emotional wounds, self-awareness, setting and achieving small goals and celebrating them. Okay, embracing failure as a learning opportunity, and self-care and self-compassion. So those are the 5 that you want to hone in on. So let us know where you're starting, right? What are one of those that you want to start at, or you want to advance at? Maybe you've been doing it and you're like, you know what? I need to do more of this. So let us know. So that we can support you. We can cheer you on. This is what we're here for, both myself and Renee. Again, Renee is your success advisor. She is an integral part of this team. We have such a beautiful team of women who work together to make sure that you are getting what you need and you're moving forward, and we're cheering you on. So if you haven't heard from Renee yet, know that she is reaching out to every single person that we have ever connected with that is in the Women on the Rise group. So be sure to check your direct messages. And it truly is just connecting with you to see how we can support you. And we do have an upcoming event that is next week. It is the Visible Visionary Experience. And this is about healing some of those fears of getting out there and becoming more visible, right? Really, really focused in on, the 3 steps to release your fear of public speaking. So this could be for authors, this can be for coaches, this can be for, different, so many people could benefit from this. If you have a message to get out there, come to the Visible Visionary Experience to release your fear of public speaking and expand into your greatness. So you can be an aspiring public speaker, an entrepreneur, business professional that needs to get out there in the community, leaders and thought leaders, students and educators, anyone seeking personal growth. This is where it is at during the Visible Visionary Experience, right? We're going to laser focus on internal obstacles. You are going to receive powerful tools from both myself and another coach, Lucy Seligman, to challenge and release those limiting beliefs so that you can fully embrace your power, your presence, and your purpose, right? You can identify immediate actions to take towards living your legacy, and you're connecting with like-minded and like-hearted women. So be sure to join us for that beautiful experience that is happening next week, next Wednesday. So be sure to secure your spot. We are so excited to see you there. And yes, always stay compassionate, stay true to yourself, right? Stay curious, stay compassionate, and let your legacy shine. That's what we're here for. Sending so much love.